Hello, welcome to Business Reporter's The Best of British Business campaign. I'm Ashley Blake. By the end of June 2025, 1,550,000 fully electric cars are on the roads in the UK. And this number is growing as car brands improve technology and customer services. They can offer a broader range that can appeal to more and more households. Flavian Alexandru, the co-founder and CEO of Hypervolt, a game-changing EV charging technology firm from the UK, believes that growing sales of EVs fit into broader economic and technological and cultural trends. But what are these trends? Should we be optimistic about them? Let's get Flavian's take on this. Flavian, imagine I've just landed on this great planet. I've never heard of EVs. How would you describe them?
They're a relatively old concept, in fact, which might surprise most people. The first kind of fully functioning EV was Henry Ford, all the way back to the 20s and 30s. But what the limitation was back then is they had no grid. So chicken before the egg. They're cars that run entirely off electrical energy stored in a battery. So they don't need internal combustion, they don't need to pollute. We can charge them from green energy, and hopefully increasingly over time we're going to see more and more of that. They can be far more cost effective, and I think probably one of the most significant and underlooked things is they can play a real role in sustainable energy for the future, because with vehicle to grid we can give energy back to the grid, we can balance the grid in kind of new and interesting ways. In the time that the car sits idle, it can actually become a portable battery. And that helps us put away gas turbines and all kinds of other non-sustainable forms of energy. Obviously, not something that happens overnight, but here we are working at it, and hopefully over the next decade or two, a lot of the energy transition is going to be accelerated thanks to electric vehicles.
Latest figures suggest that there are over 1.5 million EVs on the road. That's a huge drain on the national grid, the top 5 energy companies. Can they sustain this?
I really think they can. I don't think it's going to come for free, right? It's absolutely not going to come for free, but there's investments being made all across the board. So it's a very ample framework, I would say, of investments where some things take longer than others. So for example, the idea of a dynamic tariff is backed by grid flexibility programs. Like it's backed by wholesale capacity markets, flexibility markets that exist to facilitate aggregators or companies like ours or Octopus Energy or EDF or, to regulate the market. And I think UK's got the most sophisticated deregulated system we've seen worldwide, right? Because we're active in the US, we're active in Australia, and like all kinds of other markets. UK is the furthest along in kind of figuring this out. And so we live in a very, very privileged, I would say, edge of the technology as it's progressed for grid management. I think we're going to do quite a lot of sophisticated energy sort of trading, where imagine with the flick of a button, I can tell 1 million chargers to tone it down, right? Turns out that's the equivalent of like one nuclear power plant going like that. That's the beauty of the system. You have really the lowest cost that's ever existed, right, in this energy trading and flexibility system to balance the grid. So the act of balancing the grid is not new. The sophistication with which you can do it and target it geographically, the amount of data you have, every EV charger that we put out there, every single day sends 100,000 events to a server, 100,000 data points. So it's like a smart meter on steroids. It's like the most advanced smart meter you've ever seen. And it's completely unencumbered. And if it goes offline, it still sends back all the data. Like there's all this stuff we work on to give grid operators the best data they've ever had to make their decisions on, the best kind of real-time experience. At the same time, right, they're working on their stuff, which is transmission lines are coming, right? Like higher power transmission lines are coming. Substations are being upgraded to support more and more demand. But it's an ecosystem, right? And I think the answer is yes. So peak demand is estimated to go up 11 times by 2030, which is a very, very impressive number. And then average consumption, I think, will more than double in the next 4.5 years in the UK if we meet the target of EV adoption. There's a plan for all of that. Is it going to go perfect? Probably not. But will it be worth it? Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So tell us about Hypervolt. What do you bring to the table?
If I were to put it in 3 words, I'd say design, stability, and software. And I'll go over the 3. So what we found is people really care about what's on their home, and they love having a product, like all of our customers, love having a product that looks good on a house. And I think one of the great great powers of being in a consumer technology industry, being able to make hardware, is that it tends to be a great equalizer. It's one of the things I absolutely love about software and consumer technology is the wealthiest person in the world and the least wealthy person in Britain can have the same EV charger, can have the same beautiful experience, the same iPhone, the same FaceTime access, right? So that's what we focus on very well. Like I always say, luxury without the premium, or what we always say internally, like design is the product, because people don't think about it in back-end algorithms or grid flexibility. What they want is something simple, something very friendly, especially when they're new to technology. What we've become very good at is like an out-of-the-box, look, it just works. We'll plug it in, we'll look after it for you. The second thing I think we've done very well is to sort of be a very stable partner, because a lot of companies have entered this sphere with a sort of transactional mindset. What we've become very good at is like, how do we support you through that journey? How can we be fast when you have a problem? It's not a perfect science. I'm sure we've gotten some things wrong over time. But the discipline of caring for customer, of making sure we're going to work extra hard to kind of keep you going, get some stuff serviced when it goes wrong, has been more deeply understood by Hypervolt than I think anybody else in the industry, which is why we've preserved the top rankings over Trustpilot and many other sources. The third thing that we bring to the table, probably the most important of all, is software, because this ability to offer you better service, to react very quickly, that allows us to give you the best app experience, right? Where we can include your solar panels, your home batteries, all kinds of other devices. And so Hypervolt's become almost a gateway to the rest of your house. It's become this beautiful entry point to this new and complex world of flexibility and like all these other things. Software allows us to give you the most ample buffet of tariffs.
And coming back to Hypervolt, what does the future hold?
I think we're going to work pretty hard on the next generation of products, so we're already doing that. I'm hugely excited for what's going to come over the next 1 or 2 years. We're taking a bigger and bigger, we're going to play a bigger role, I'd say, in the US market and some other markets. And with that, taking on the responsibility of better products and better things for our customers. So long ambition there. And I also hope we can expand to help in all sorts of other ways, because we've been a great partner for your home, for your residents. We also want to be a great partner for your office, a great charging solution. We want to be on the side of a motorway one day, because we think there's certain things we can bring to the table and maybe do better than what's available today. And kind of taking away range anxiety, taking away charging pain, taking away some of those things. I think we're going to go through a very big revolution, bigger than anything there's ever been. Again, what I love doing in my head is kind of scrolling back in time and thinking, this grid tech, it's about 100 years, like it's not more. If you scroll more than 100 years back in time, there was no grid in any country. And so you think about the rollout of like grid V0 in the United States, and then V1 made it in the UK. And then, like if you unwind time and you look at who copied who and kind of how it came to be, if you think about the computer you had 10 years ago versus the computer you have now, right? That leap forward is enormous. But the grid hasn't had that leap forward, right? Because it's much harder. You got to go dig up roads and put new cables in and new wires and new transformer stations. And it's a lot of money. But now it's happening because it has this incredible catalyst, this incredible focus from so many people and so much infrastructure that it's just going to be a whole new world.
Flavian Alexandru, co-founder and CEO of Hypervolt.